Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome. You are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5. I didn't make a mistake on that, Sam, for like a whole 2 weeks. But we are stronger now on 106.5 and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Audible, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, and more. I am Dr. Marissa, your hashtag positively opinionated host, because there's no gossip here, no scandal, and no K words, no Kardashian talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have guests and shows to that end. This is show number 788. And if you've missed any of my interviews with, well, there's a playlist with Halle Berry, John Travolta, guests like Fran Drescher, you heard talking about reducing your risk of cancer, the Temptations family, you name it, I have it here. And it is all focused on solution and how we can really grab this life by the juice and have the best life ever. And I'm so delighted this morning to have a very special guest with me. He's a magician. Jason Latimer is the series champion of BBC's Once the Magicians, the recipient of Siegfried and Roy Master of the Impossible Award, and was bestowed with Magic's biggest honor, Grand Prix Best Overall World Champion of Magic. As a scientist, Jason's also the creator of Impossible Science, the academic platform uniting magic and science to inspire wonder in education, which is now a popular YouTube channel with millions of views. Jason Latimer is not only changing education, he is on a mission to globally inspire wonder. So now you know why he's on my show. He's also one of the highlights of the California STEAM Symposium this Saturday, October 1st. He's on first thing in the morning as the breakfast keynote. And it is also going on Sunday, October 2nd, when I'm on stage. Some of you remember I was in Jason's shoes last year, but 2D, virtually on Zoom. But his keynote, you'll have to go and see. I'm going to try to make it there because I just love supporting one, magic, and two, science. And this is for educators. Tickets are available for purchase at steamcalifornia.org. Please welcome to my studio, Jason Latimer. And don't say anything until, let's see who can beat that. Had to get that applause in there before you said anything. Jason, I'm so delighted to have you in my studio this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Marissa. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And we had a little chit chat. You know, y'all know I like to keep it fresh here on the air for you, so I don't do pre-interviews. But we did find out, we had enough. I asked him what flavor of Asian he was. And he is Chinese, like moi, and half Chinese. And which one is Chinese? I'm guessing your mom, because Latimer is not. Yeah.
My mom's Chinese. My
Wonderful.
Mom's Chinese, that's white.
讲国语, did she make you learn any
No,
Mandarin?
unfortunately, I'm third generation American, and I
Okay.
I know.
Yeah. Well, we share the Chinese genetic. I'm full Chinese. Well, actually, I'm Chinese with a dash of Mongolian. So don't piss me off. That's yeah. But I do have one other little trivia. I did date one of your biggest people in your field, David Copperfield,
Oh,
a
wow.
long time ago before he got into blondes. But that's another story. Long time, a lifetime ago. But I'm so delighted to have you, especially since you're not just a musician, you're not just a magician, but you have this mission of impossible science. So let's start off with, did you know when you were a kid that you were going to be doing what you're doing now?
I'd actually like to think yes.
Okay, cool.
I was fascinated by magic because I was fascinated by what I didn't understand and what was possible and what was not. So I got into magic to try to figure out how those tricks were done that I saw on stage. And that eventually led to a conversation about what is possible and led to a lifelong career in studying science and applied sciences. And then I used the science to build my magic illusions. And that kind of gave me an edge on a lot of competitions. That's pretty much where the world championships came from. So we have illusions like bending light, shaping water, forming smoke, live bullet time. These are illusions that never existed before because I'm uniting a playbook that didn't really exist in the magic community before. But that was in my magic career. And then I got really inspired by what magic could do to inspire a person to ask a question. So if it happened to me by accident, could we draw that out of somebody on purpose in an educational format? And that's how I created Impossible Science. Reformatting all science experiments into illusions that if you don't understand it, you would say this is magic. But if you do understand it, then you understand the science of it, and it empowers a person to learn more and want to learn more. And so we have illusions of invisibility, mind control, animation, transformation, levitation, you name it. And we found a way to make it possible through science. No tricks. Just if you don't understand it, it looks like magic.
Wow. So yeah, you must use oil of Olay because doing all that, you look very young to have
Highly
accomplished.
caffeinated diet. just a lot of caffeine.
Oh,
Thank you.
wow. That's so great. That's so great. And so you grew up in England, which is
No, I grew up.
No,
I
you grew up
in
here.
Fort
Oh,
Hills,
sorry.
and I moved to England when I was on the BBC One, The Magicians, and I went out there to compete after, but that was after the World Championships and after quite a bit of magic. I was an adult at the time I moved over there.
Okay, even though you
I
look
grew
like a
up
perpetual young man, which is good. It's our Asian thing. I always joke around that
one day you
we're
just age all at the same time.
that's my joke, is that we're all 10 to 15 years. We look 10 to 15 years younger until we get to
Until you're
that
not.
age, and then we go directly to 100.
Yeah, and then it's like I always tell people it's a scene like out of Indiana Jones, and you just age super quickly. But until then, highly caffeinated.
That is so great. Do you mind just increasing your volume just a bit? I'm getting the signal that's fabulous. Thank you. So let's, you were going to show something to me.
Oh, yeah.
And I apologize. You were supposed to get the message that I did have cameras in my studio, even though it's a radio show.
So one of the things that I like to specialize in is different fields of science or different fields that teachers can use on their own. And one of the hard ones to get people excited about is math. And so a friend of mine actually designed this. It's a pretty amazing illusion. You can see the 4 circles, correct? Yes? Well, if I take those 4 circles and if I rotate them around, they actually transform into squares. It's not a magic trick. It's just if you don't understand it, it will look like magic. This is what's known as an ambiguous figure. It's actually 2 shapes at the same time. If I held this up to a mirror, the reflection would be squares, but what I'm seeing are circles.
Do that again.
Okay, so you see 4 circles
slowly,
in a block, right? Right? Now I'm going to slowly rotate it around, and they'll transform into 4 squares.
Wow, this
is no sleight of hand. It's just learning that you can actually draw 2D shapes infinite amount of ways. And the best way to explain that is when you look at like the stars and you see like the Big Dipper, we have a tendency to think that's all in one flat plane, but those stars could be at different distances closer and farther away, but from our point of view, it looks like a flat plane, right? Each star could be farther or closer away. And
Right.
what happens is there's an infinite amount of ways to draw a 2D shape. And so if there's an infinite amount of ways to draw a circle and an infinite amount of ways to draw a square, there might be a point where they are both the same point. And that's what you have right here. Two different
Wow.
perspectives, two different shapes.
Interesting. Can we do that to the Republicans and the Democrats?
It's a great way of explaining two different perspectives. That's definitely a great, but it's pointing out that you can actually use the format of magic to actually make somebody go, wait, how does that work? And that's the foundation of all innovation. And that's what my mission is to inspire the next question, as the right question changes everything. And so that's really what I've decided to do. A few years ago, I set out to say, I don't feel like working in a casino anymore. I don't feel like working on just shows just as a caffeinated squirrel on stage. And I decided to take my TED Talk and transform it into a stage show based off of my work over my lifetime. And the TED Talk, for those that are curious about it, is called Seeing Beyond the Illusion of Knowledge. And it's about pointing out how the right question changes everything, and that it's wonder that changes the world. And so that it's really important that our education system starts taking wonder seriously, because one of those kids could be wondering about a question that no one's ever asked before. And that's the question that will change everything.
I want to put this up. Seeing Beyond the Illusion of
Knowledge.
And that's a TED Talk.
It's a long title, but there's a bigger side to it, because that talk became quite popular in the education space, and I started finding out the museums were using it for leadership training, which is why I started moving my stage show into museums, and we started the Impossible Science platform with a live show in museums, and first in San Diego, then LA, Downey, Orange County, now Portland, Scotland, and Scottsdale. It just became a thing where we found a way to really inspire people to ask great questions. And we're not doing it by tricking anybody. We're just getting inspired to wonder.
You know, philosophically, that is such an important shift for especially Americans, whose entire education system is built around what's the right answer.
Yes.
So you're only answering to the limitations of the question that the teacher's asking.
Right. That's a perfect explanation of it, because I try to remind people that flight was always possible. We just didn't know how to do it till someone asked a question about lift. So it was really, we just didn't know it was possible. And we get limited by our own answers, which takes me into the real reason I do all of this, which is the greatest illusion of knowledge is happening right now. It's a extremely deceptive illusion. In magic, we would call it a progressive illusion. It's something that's getting more deceptive with every iteration. And it's as funny as it sounds, and I know it's a little taboo at times, but my TED Talk was pointing out there's a flaw in the format of the internet. It's never been a good idea to rank ideas by popularity. It's never worked out in the history of knowledge to rank ideas that the most popular must be true, or most common knowledge must be right.
Majority rules.
And the algorithm doesn't know how to doubt, and it definitely doesn't know how to wonder. Not yet, anyway. Hopefully not. And the problem with that is the internet, or the algorithm, is designed to put the most common like terms together. So it's not doubting anything. And so the problem with that is, when does a revolutionary idea start off popular? And
Rarely.
so it falls to the bottom of the search result, but no one searches the bottom of the search result. So they grab from an already popular idea. And even if you looked at it and said, you know what, this doesn't sound right, this is wrong, it's too late. You've clicked on it and you've made it more popular to the next person. So our wrong answers are climbing too. And that's what I mentioned in my talk about 8 years ago, that I said, if something's wrong and it gets popular, it's going to be very hard to catch up to it, because you're now hoping that our next Einstein has a search engine optimization plan on top of being a genius. And so the question was, how do you teach a kid how to see beyond a popular answer? And that's the real heart behind Impossible Science. Is just because it doesn't sound possible, could there be a question no one's asked yet? And
Wow.
and so
Wow. I'm
being
like
an
mind
unpopular
blown.
answer. Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
It's
no,
an
I mean,
extremely it's an extremely deceptive illusion. It took a magician to spot it. Like, yeah,
you're making me disappear here.
yeah.
It's that is wow. I came on thinking I was gonna see some magic and talk about magic, and my mind is being blown. If you've just tuned in and you're wondering, because it's not often that my mind gets blown, as y'all know. Everybody has a right to my opinion. Just kidding. But you are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show, and my very special, provocative, philosophical thought guest is Jason Latimer. He's an
Thank you.
award-winning championship magician who has decided that there's more than just being a caffeine monkey on stage. I like that expression. I'm stealing it as a motivational speaker. And he is now, wow, a transforming thought. I'm going to call you a thought transformer in
perfect.
looking at how we really limit our thinking by the questions we don't ask. Ooh, that's a
I
good
have
tagline.
I have a great one for you, and
Yes.
this. This is a box.
Yes.
I know it's not that exciting, but this is the best way I've found to explain what's called the illusion of knowledge. That you will trick yourself into saying, "I know what is possible. I do not need to learn anymore." It's a weird thing, by the way. As you get older, the illusion becomes more deceptive. You start reinforcing every answer you believe in, and you disregard the rest. And somehow, by the time you're an adult, you go, I don't need to learn anymore. I know everything that's possible in the universe, and therefore, I don't need anybody to ask me questions I don't need to ask any new questions because I know everything.
I know it all. Right.
Yeah. So let me explain. I'm going to show you what it feels like to encounter the illusion of knowledge. Inside this box is another box. Ooh. Now I'm going to have to tilt this camera down because I just realized you're probably not going to be able to see anything. So I'll just keep this in a spot where you can see it. Well, I'll just put it under my arm. Now, by pulling the black box out of the green box, we can assume one thing about this black box in comparison to this box. Now, most people will say smaller, and they're right. But that's why it looks so odd that the green box can fit inside the black box. Now, if you were comfortable with the word smaller, well, you would have tricked yourself into saying, I don't need to learn anymore. I know smaller items go in bigger items. Well, that's not necessarily 100% true because these boxes are the exact same size. They're just in different orientations. This is not a trick. This is just mathematics in action. The boxes are the exact same size, just different orientations. But those of us that would have said the box is smaller, I don't need to learn anymore, would have fooled themselves with the illusion of knowledge. You would have tricked yourself into saying, I know what's possible. And I use that for teachers so that teachers can engage kids to say, wait a second, my entire world just got rocked with geometry. So what else going on now? And so we started, by the way, we started off with a stage show, and now we have festivals, live events. And then because of the pandemic, Sony stepped in, and Sony and I partnered to create the YouTube channel, which everything is NGSS, which is Next Generation Science Standards. We took the experiments I've created for all the museums and turned them into lesson plans that teachers could use with stuff you could find around the house, turn objects invisible with the stuff in your kitchen, make things fly that you could find the stuff in the garage. Everything's broken down to science and broken down to an easy way to explain the impossible. And and it's free. Oh, by the way, for any teachers that are involved or listening, impossiblescience.com, you can go to the videos and click lesson plan, and there's a free lesson plan that goes to the video. And it's a written one you can print up, and it's great. And cheers to Sony for stepping up to inspire people to ask questions.
Wow. So you tricked Kathleen Benjamin, who is streaming in from Facebook. She called me rocked. Welcome to John Baptiste, who is streaming in from Africa. And Kathleen's question is, how do we promote wonder over popularity? But before, I'll give you a little second to think about that question, because I have to do this before I forget. I don't do this for every guest, but I I am rocked, and I would like to give you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award.
Yes. Thank you.
So you are in a very small number of, not small, but I love giving that award. I don't give it out easily, but it's for people who are just thinking outside of the box, literally. Thank you. And who want to help people expand their minds so that they actually believe that they are one of a kind wonderful, which is exactly in line with Kathleen's question. Is wonder is not one of your trending terms, right? Right. We trending is life sucks, life is random, life is chaos, I hate my life, I hate you, you're wrong, I'm right. All of that is well known. And I'd like you to answer that question. How do we then shift so that we are Googling what is not popular?
Yeah, that's really hard, because in a progressive illusion, by touching it, you're going to make it more deceptive than it was before. And so I had to start at what I considered more like the foundation of, we have to change how people approach education rather than how we're searching for answers. I mean, you can try to search for answers, but unfortunately, you're already, for lack of better words, you're in the matrix. They're already in it. The best way I can explain it to kids when it comes to the internet is like, because we're reaching a generation where people forgot we gave the internet its answers. And the reason I explain it to kids this way, when it comes to kids and the internet, and I just had a son myself, by the way, last week.
Wow.
And,
congratulations.
Thank you.
Hold on. Can you tell I'm into affirming?
Thank you. And I point out to the kids at Impossible Science and in museums or schools that had the internet been around when we collectively thought the earth was flat, we would never be able to use the internet to find the true shape of Earth, because everyone's uploading the wrong answer. And then we ranked it by popularity. So that immediately shows people the flaw of how it could be how we could self-perpetuate wrong answers. So when it comes to how do we make wonder more popular, well, it really comes down to, like, the tagline for Impossible Science is that the right question changes everything. And that we have to remind people that are educators that the whole game of learning is really kind of similar to like walking up to a board game where other people are playing, and you said, how do you play? And they go, we didn't have a rule book, so we've just learned these moves so far. But sometimes we find out that when this piece makes it to the end, it can change to a different piece. Like, nobody actually knows all the rules, but this is what we've learned so far. If we transform education into that mindset, that the kids are the ones walking up to the board game and the teachers are the ones trying to explain what we've learned so far, then the world becomes just an endless possibility. And we're staring at proof of infinite possibility all day long. Mm-hmm. You can point your finger in any direction and say, whatever direction you're pointing at right now, that direction goes on forever. With the strongest telescope we ever have, we cannot see the end of that direction. Mm-hmm. And so you're staring at proof of infinite directions and infinite possibilities. We don't know the size of this playing field. We don't know the size of the board game. We don't even know if we're playing alone. But to say you know everything is a very big statement, and humbling our educators. By the way, they're doing the best they can, and I'm not saying they're doing it wrong. All I'm saying is we have to take the role of nobody knows everything.
But
and
this is it's a hard sell, because
it's a hard one. It's a hard one. Our
whole country, our system, our education, you don't want kids that rock the boat. You don't want kids to question you. You don't want employees to say, why are we doing it this way? We want compliance. We want people to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, yes, whatever. And to ask that question, it just dawned on me, even things like on the spectrum and all of these things that are different. I'm wondering if I've always thought that they have the ability to expand past what is normal, and that normal is way overrated, because
Well,
normal keeps us in that non-reflective, and I've been using hashtag up because it's hashtag unlimited possibilities, which I thought was really interesting, that your whole website is impossible science, and that impossible actually spells I'm possible.
Well, I remind people, who came up with the word impossible? Us or the universe? Like, we don't even know what is actually impossible. All we know is so far we haven't figured out how to do something. That's basically what impossible means. So far we haven't figured it out yet. But so was flight. So was the light bulb. So was you would have called. There was a time when you would think of something like mirror, mirror on the wall. You would have said that was fantasy, and now we just say, "Oh, it's my interview at 8 in the morning." Your kid will grow up thinking, was she just FaceTiming another realm or something like that?
Right. If you've just tuned in, I just want to do a quick station ID, because we're not going to go to break, because I'm just fascinated. I want you to stay on as long as you can. You're listening to the World Series champion from BBC's The Magician, as well as the Grand Prix best overall world champion of magic. Even though it doesn't sound like he's a magician, he is more than a magician. And I think that's my newest term. He's one of the highlights of the California STEAM Symposium this weekend. He's the breakfast keynote. So you're going to have to go get tickets. You can, it is for educators, but you could probably sneak in, because everybody's an educator. If you have kids, don't tell them I said that. But go to www.steamcalifornia.org. I'm going to put that in the chat right now, so you know. He's on stage on Saturday. I'm returning as another first time I think they're returning a keynote to do some balanced Tai Chi Gong on stage. So please go to www.steamcalifornia. What did I just say? STEAMcalifornia. I want to get it right. .org to listen, and also take what's free he's offered with Sony. I'm going to put that on again as a YouTube link if I have time. If you have time, I might just go share on the screen and find that. But go ahead, you were going to say something.
ImpossibleScience.com will give you kind of the best hub, as far as you can search by video, key topics, grade, NGSS. And every time we upload a video, we break that down so that its own gallery can sort itself. Or you could follow along on YouTube if you'd like, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. TikTok is more of a short form, so we do very quick experiments there that are just fun. But as far as the lesson plans, those are on the impossiblescience.com. And then this weekend, I'm doing my version of it, or my level of impossible science, which is kind of all these illusions that I've created over my career. But the reality is I don't have any superpowers. They're all just different fields of science. So bending light was physics, and shaping water is chemistry. Walking through the solid object is engineering. And if you don't understand it, it's going to look like magic. I'm not going to give it away, because that's my job to inspire curiosity. But I can tell you, I don't have any superpowers. So there's definitely an answer. You just have, and your question could actually be better than mine. You could build a totally better one than I did. And then we have a breakout session for people that want to learn more and do a deeper dive. Oh, and I'm bringing the impossible science experiments for one of the booths, so you can turn yourself invisible. You can see an invisible TV, and you can make things float. It's just basically from my festival, but it's for anybody who's a kid or acts like a kid. I think that's the best way to explain it.
Well, then I qualify for sure.
Perfect.
Impossible Science. I'm going to go to the website now. There it is. Now it says Sony Picture. Is that the one?
Yep, that's it.
All right. So I'm going to share this. And is that it?
Well, that's the Impossible Science. You can go from there. You can get to the trailer of the show, but impossiblescience.com should give you the everything.
I clicked on the wrong one. Impossible science. This is the magic of technology, the good part of it. And is it showing? There we go.
That's it.
Yay!
Perfect.
So many resources here. Catherine Benjamin on my Facebook streaming. Here's an answer. This is how we can take wonder and put it at the top of the possibility chart. This is so cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to play it here.
If you go to the gallery or lesson plans, you'll see how much there is. We've been doing this nonstop.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, we've been doing this nonstop since the pandemic started. So as soon as I had just finished my show up in OMSI, the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, we came back, the world shut down, school stopped. I get a phone call saying about making those into videos. And we converted our house into a studio, and we just started going. And then over the last, let's say, year and a half, we've probably had about 500,000 kids and about 74 million views amongst.
Wow.
And that's the funny thing is, it's very hard to be a viral video with education. So this is actually teachers helping out, sharing it to students. Probably the most popular one was the Porch Pirate table. I built a table that turns your packages invisible. So
can I play it?
Oh, it's long, but
is it? Okay.
The idea behind it is I show you how to use science to turn a package invisible so that nobody would take it off your doorstep. So.
That's definitely one to watch. Is there a short one we can play real quick?
I mean, you might, if you type in like anything with the TikTok, as far as Porch Pirate and TikTok, you'd have.
I don't know if I can get TikTok on.
Yeah. So a lot of these are like somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes long.
Okay.
So it's
okay.
Not only do they start off with the magic trick that usually sets the conversation in motion.
Okay, I want to see the magic trick.
Here's the ultimate way to prevent porch pirates. Unite science and magic. Welcome to Impossible Science.
So the idea.
Hey everyone, it's Jason Latimer, world champion of magic, coming to you with another Impossible Science, the show where we take an impossible idea and we bring it to life through science. Now, I'm standing in front of my house because of a very frustrating situation. Porch pirates. Each and every one of us has either been a victim or has known a victim of someone stealing a package off of their doorstep.
And this one is
actually a very frustrating
like
situation. And as much as there's been tons of amazing videos online seeking justice through glitter bombs, sting bombs, and even GPS to track down your package, it didn't change the fact that they actually stole the package. So I figured, what would be the best way to prevent somebody from stealing your packages? And then I realized, let's turn the package invisible. Now, I got this idea originally from a comment on one of my videos on my YouTube channel from CRT Mojo, who said, could he use my lenticular lens invisibility shield to turn a package invisible so that nobody would steal his packages? When I started staring at my porch, I realized, no, that's not going to work because the lenticular lens only spreads things out in the horizontal plane, which if you want to learn about how to turn things invisible with an invisibility shield, go make sure you check out that episode. But after staring at my doorstep for a while, I realized there is an illusion we can use that will keep our packages safe by turning our packages invisible.
So in this case, you're going to have to watch the entire thing, and that's
okay.
So, yeah,
but I'm definitely I'm hooked.
Well, the thing is, I try my best to listen to the audience as far as if they come up with a really great question of like, could you do that? And yeah, why not? Why couldn't we do it? And then the idea behind Impossible Science was just to do multiple topics. Let's say take a topic like invisibility. I'll come back to invisibility like 7-10 times, mainly because each time I do it is a different field of science. So the idea behind it is just because there was 10 doesn't mean there can't be 11 and there can't be 12. And same with the festival, the kids get reinforced with this. The next booth could be a totally different way to do the same topic of levitation or mind control. And so just because you haven't been to that table yet doesn't mean it's not possible.
The other thing that struck me is that when I was shared earlier about dating a magician, I had to sign a paper that said, you can't, share the secrets that you find out. So, some of the disappearing things, I know
Wow.
how that works, right? And I go to the Magic Castle and it's like, I know that. But anyways, and the whole premise of magic is I know something you don't know, and I don't want you to know because I want to keep this my livelihood and I want my secret to, make some money energy for me. And you're like completely opposite. You're like,
Well,
this is how you do it. And I love that. I mean, I already gave you the benefit.
well, I'm not out there to give away other people's secrets. That's the
Right.
first. I'm
Right.
still a magician at heart. And there are illusions that I've created that I have no desire to give away. Like the game of follow the ball under clear cups. That's the street game. I do it with clear glass cups, and I use that to win the world championships. And I did use science to design those. But the main philosophy behind the whole thing is that I don't have any superpowers. I'm just a person asking questions, and this is what it's led to. And when it comes to that, I think there's a lot of different ways to be a magician on stage, and there could be people out there that may have superpowers, but I personally don't. I'm more like a Batman or Iron Man. Like I just have more gadgets. I just have more gadgets, and it's okay if people know I have gadgets.
Are magicians? Have you heard from any of them saying you're?
Well,
any negative feedback?
Well, first of all, the illusions that I'm creating are based off of a science experiment that the kids should already have learned. So most of these experiments are experiments that science teachers would be very familiar with. They're like, oh, that's a great way, like to turn a pen invisible. We use a 2-liter bottle and fill it with water. And a science teacher would say that's a great way to make a lens. So a magician's not going to be doing a routine where, excuse me, I have to go fill my 2-liter bottle up with water. so what I'm creating for Impossible Science Experiments is not really in the magic space. It's just if a kid or a person who saw that happen, if they didn't understand it, it would come off like a magic trick. And so it's not really a performance thing that I'm worried about from the magic standpoint. And to be honest, most of the response from the magic community has been pretty positive. They all love it because it gives this. It takes magic to a different level rather than being a trickster or a con or
trying to trick you, trying to make you feel stupid.
Yeah.
This is really about wonder.
Yeah, really. It's really about inspiring thought and questions, and it's a nice nod to the engineers and illusion designers that are out there. These are pretty brilliant people out there creating stuff that they hope you never figure out. I mean, you got a career in that. Those guys don't want you to ever know that they were involved.
I see this whole new generation and this whole new switch with computer technology as the revenge of the nerds. Right?
Yeah.
Because it used to be, marketing and sales that was so important, and now it is definitely engineering and science and math and technology. And if you know anything about computers, you're God. That kind of shift, which is great. It's a balance. It's a balance, and it's needed. And I love the fact that this is all done to inspire people who have maybe grown up being told that they don't know anything. It just reminds me of Steve Jobs and all the people who didn't do the traditional route of education and all Ivy League rules that, it's limitless. Education and wonder and knowing is there's no top.
Right. And for me, as a personal part of my career, like I had spent so much time trying to be the best magician I could possibly be, that when I took a step back and realized the path that I had taken and the research I had done, it feels completely different to be on stage to try to inspire somebody to take that same path. It doesn't even have to be the exact same steps I took, but the byproduct of a magic trick is a question. And what I'm trying to do is unite magic and science to purposely inspire educational questions.
Wow.
And it's been a wonderful journey so far, and I'm just getting started. And that's also anybody that's out there, that if you're an educator, superintendent, principal, conference or whatever, just let me know, and we can inspire a lot of people because It just takes the right question, and it takes a magician to inspire a good question. So
Yes, it does. And now you're going to have the greatest I'm possible lesson yourself with your newborn.
yes,
And that was
I'm
a
so
little
excited.
magic trick
I've
just to
been
get a
waiting
little.
for so long. I will make him faster, stronger, better than before.
Oh Lord, help us all. So two kids running around. Your wife is definitely going to be careful what you ask for, right?
Yeah, just
No,
me.
I'm kidding.
Me
How
and
did you guys meet? I love the personal side of love stories. I
my
sneaked
wife.
and did a little stalking on
Yeah,
Instagram.
my wife Megan and I, we met in Berlin, Germany. I was speaking at the Global Leadership Summit for Education First, and Megan was my liaison at the conference to make sure I showed up at all the different spots. And
She was your handler.
she was my handler, and she made sure I showed up everywhere. And I learned a long time ago, if you can't beat them, you got to join them. So after the conference, I reached out to her, and I joke around that I lived in LA, she lived in Boston, and we met in Berlin. And we hit it off. We dated long distance for 6 months, and then she moved out here, and here we are. And a few years later, we made a family.
Oh, what a beautiful story. I'm so glad that I asked. I absolutely, that's adorable. So it's, everything's possible too. If you can't find someone to love nearby, go to Berlin.
Yeah, shop out of town. It's a bit of a commute. But it works.
Oh, that's
It is
beautiful.
possible.
It is possible. It is possible. Everything is possible. Go up, unlimited possibilities. If you've just tuned in, you're going to have to go and rewind and watch from the beginning of this interview. I'm so delighted to have had Jason Latimer, who is a world champion magician, but so much more. Go and get his TED Talk. What's the name of the TED Talk one more time?
Seeing Beyond the Illusion of Knowledge. So if you just type in illusion of knowledge and Jason, you should probably find it.
There you go. And you get to see him if you're in LA by going to steamcalifornia.org, Symposium for Educators. He is the keynote speaker, and there's many of keynote speakers. STEAM does a great job with bringing fabulous speakers like yours truly last year. And I'll be back on stage on Sunday, but you must go and catch Jason Latimer's. If you're not in LA and you don't want to fly in this weekend, you can easily access all of his brilliant education and mind-blowing, literally, concepts on impossiblescience.org, is it?
.com.
.com. impossiblescience.com. Go to the YouTube channel. Thank you, Sony, for helping bring. I actually see a Netflix original coming out with this, because I think that is truly, instead of talking about Tiger Kings, even though I did interview Carol Baskin on the show, not knocking Tiger Kings, but this kind of information should be widely shared. So we're talking about that instead of, Tiger guy at our dinner table. And I actually believe there is a search engine that does look for the bottom. It struck me, someone had told me about that, those unpopular terms. Do you know that?
No, I don't know what would be the bottom. The problem with the main format with the internet is it's the user, actually. When you think about going trick-or-treating, you're supposed to go door to door and you get your candy, and then at the end of the night, you're supposed to check where the candy came from, or check the candy itself. But no one's doing that when it comes to information. We don't know where the information came from, and we don't know the background of that. And it's not like we've been kind of conditioned to think that computers must be right. And the reality is, behind that computer was a person, and that's where that answer came from. And it's not like the scientific method where there's peer review. We've missed that. Once you click on it, that's the end of that path, because that's what the next person will see, is what you did click on.
Right.
And so there's no proof of what site is better to be used than the other, and it's a very deceptive illusion. Now, I'm not saying the internet's bad. It's just being aware of it, what it is the first step, is internet awareness.
Yes, absolutely. So those perceptions that what is true, I always say go to the media bias chart. Where are you getting your information? You're getting your information of what you agrees with you or you agree with it doesn't mean that it's correct.
Right.
But those stories about the Russians who create news outlets to skew what your BS belief systems are
Yeah.
is the scary part. You got to think before you start spouting.
Yeah, it's just being aware that behind that screen was another person. Is the first step. And I hopefully maybe in the future the next generation will figure out a better way to do it.
Oh,
And that's what I look at it. Is somebody will ask the next question, and hopefully
it's
I'll
possible.
Yeah,
It's possible.
Yeah, if at the end of my career somebody came up to me and said that's what I got inspired to ask that question, I would feel like I'm done. It's great.
Yeah. Well, you're already done. You are bringing a lot of awareness and knowledge to the world at large. And I already gave you the award, so I can't do it again. But thank you so much.
I'll take it twice. I want to be a 2-time.
Fine. You'll be the first person that I give this to twice. Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award twice.
All right.
See what happens when you ask? See what happens when you ask? The impossible question. Last question that I ask all of my guests: to who or what are you most grateful for? To who or what are you most grateful for?
Who?
Ooh.
I don't know to who it would be, but I am in awe of the beautiful game that we're all in. I mean, it's just breathtaking to sit back and say, nobody knows nobody knows anything. And it just cracks me up that everybody just seems to be okay with it. And we do know what's, the best answers we've had so far and what's more likely to happen than others. But just knowing that there's limitless possibility out there and it's just waiting to be discovered is just such a beautiful game. And it's exciting because that's where the next cure is. That's where the next technology is. That's where the next revolutionary change is. It's waiting to be discovered. It just takes one person to ask about it. And
so I'm curious, are you religious, spiritual? Does that cross any realm, or it's all science?
Well, I don't think one way or the other, to be honest. I just, not even science disproves anything else. For me, it's just, you've been handed this blank sheet of paper and you get to draw whatever you want and do whatever you want. And, it's like somebody handing you a script, but there's no words. there's a script.
You can write your own screenplay.
It's a script with no words. There's a limited amount of pages. So draw and write as much as you possibly can about what you've learned. And don't be worried if somebody tells you they know where this play is going, because they don't. They were given the same blank sheet of paper, maybe few pages, maybe more pages, but in the end, everybody's pages were blank, and nobody knows what's absolutely possible or ultimately possible. And as long as you keep that, in your heart, it's a beautiful game to just have fun.
Absolutely. I call it a joyride of life.
Yes.
I call it, we're all in line waiting to come and live. We get on the ride, limitless possibilities of stops and scenery and what we go through and tunnels and all of that. And thank you so much for preaching to my choir and giving me so many other ways to think and believe and wonder. I'm addicted to wonder, and you just fed my addiction. So those of you who missed the beginning, please go to impossiblescience.com for so much of life and the wonder of life that has been spoken about today. I know I told you it was a magician, but I had no clue that it was going to be so much more than this. If you're in Southern California, please do join us at this year's California STEAM Symposium at the Anaheim Convention Center. Tickets at STEAMCalifornia.org. This has been an amazing show. I am Dr. Marissa reporting from my living room. I'm going to let you go as I do a couple of housekeeping things. But thank you for staying over and absolutely whetting my appetite for more wonder and bliss. Thanks again, Jason Latimer. All right. Thank you. All right. Wow. That was only supposed to be a half an hour interview with him, but I just could not stop with the wonder. I am totally blown away. I mean, I love, all know I love my guests and I love my show. And I just can't believe that he's a magician, because he's really not a magician. I mean, he is a magician and an award-winning magician, but I'm so delighted that I have this new place to feed my own limitless possibilities. So that is today's show. Tomorrow, you will have to come and tune in, because we're talking about diets. Notice how diet starts with the word die. That just dawned on me. But my every other week co-host that's moving from Mondays to Wednesdays, Colette Tracy, and I will be looking at all things body image. We've skirted on that issue, but I actually am interested because of the question, toning. Is there any such thing as spot toning, as I continue to try to love myself and spiff up my body into a shape that I enjoy better than I was? So is that still a myth? Working out, dieting, body image, all of that, weight loss. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. And then Thursday, my straight talk with Dr. Marissa and Sam Works. Oh, that's funny. I wasn't expecting that. That is Sam, who's doing my sound engineering back there today. He heard his name, and we'll be continuing our talk on, and I can't remember exactly, but it's going to be scintillating and tantalizing. Oh, it was labels, I think we were talking about. Oh, no. Pros and cons of being single. And he wants to keep talking about that. So we're going to do that. And then on Friday, Fired Up Fridays with Cynthia Kahi, the creator of the Knuckleball. And she's a restaurant owner and a mom and an entrepreneur and all that on Friday to bring you into the weekend. These weeks go so fast. I am delighted and grateful for all the support. Thank you to all the staff on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind, who help support this show. And you can too. You can either become a sponsor and have a commercial for as little as $100 on this show, or you can go to my nonprofit every time you shop on Amazon. You can go and Smile Amazon, 8 Ways to Happiness, and that helps my nonprofit, 8 Ways to Happiness, help kids, teens, and young adults who have temporarily forgotten their birthright to happiness. That is how you can support me as well. If you want to highlight your own show, your own podcast, start a podcast, you want to highlight your book, all of that is also available here on this show. Finally, if you would like to be happier than you are, then come this Friday, zoom in to my Get Happy Hour, go to drmarissa.life and sign up. As usual, it has been my privilege and blessing to be your host for this show. It's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Have the best day ever.